Let me know how you're doing in the comments, and today and across this month we're going to be talking to religious individuals about evil. Throughout all different types of media, it is inconsistent. I want to know what evil is. Let's call up some religious people and let's ask them.
We would understand that there are spiritual forces at play. If there are angels, then there probably do need to be demons as well. There are evil spirits that take their place in a particular person.
So what motive would there be for a demon or a spirit to possess someone? Like, what would their intention be?
Well, you'd have to ask them, wouldn't you, I suppose. But...
I don't currently have a possessed person nearby. Like, I mean, I'd take the call because I'm curious, but I mean, it's not really my field. Can you be both a devil and a demon?
So essentially, in respect to what we're talking about here, it's the same thing. So yes, there is a hierarchy in hell as there is in heaven. So there are stronger demons, if I can call it that. Nothing is as strong as God for us, but there are hierarchy of demons, yeah. So, and actually there's another priest, he's retired, but he's the exorcist of the diocese. So I can send you his number, that might...
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm about to call an exorcist. Have you ever called an exorcist before? I haven't. Okay, to be fair, I've never really called a rabbi before either, but here we are. Alright, here we go. Calling an exorcist.
Hello,
Hi, Father. This is Sabian. I was given your number by...
Yeah, mate, yes. Good, right. All right, how can I help you?
I'm currently in the process of making a video on YouTube about the different religions' aspect and interpretation of evil, spirits, demons, and devils and stuff. And I want to find whether there's consistencies between the religions, if there's any similarities, or polar opposites. Recently today I spoke to a rabbi, and that person said that their beliefs are very different. They don't necessarily believe in certain aspects of it, whereas a Christian and Catholic believe in polar opposites, where there's good fighting evil on two different fronts. So you are a retired priest. If you're willing to speak on the record with me, would you be interested in a conversation?
Oh, yeah, look, I tend not to like publicity. I
can keep your name out of it if you wish.
Yeah, look, we'll have a conversation. If you like to come and have a conversation, I'll tell you what I do as an exorcist, okay?
Yep.
And how that ministry is conducted. Do you want to talk on the phone?
I would like to talk on the phone if that's okay. I just want to talk about the interpretation of evil. I just would like to have a conversation about that and like the differences between, like, you know, how the religions sort of separate each other from what they believe. That's all I'm looking for.
Oh, there's although they might sort of be pretty similar on certain issues, such as the existence of the devil and evil, therefore.
I found differences between Protestant, Catholicism, and Judaism. Like, they are all very different in terms of certain aspects of the religion, but in terms of evil, I think that it's pretty close when it comes to the Christian beliefs.
Yes. Right, you're sort of getting into sort of philosophical area there.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
I don't claim to be much of a philosopher.
That's okay. Can I ask you specific questions then?
Yes, all right.
I was talking to a Catholic, the one that gave me your number, and she was telling me about how demons do not have bodies, and I was merely asking, why do bad spirits or demons or anything want to possess a body? What is their motive? What is their intention?
Yes, that's a good question. They possibly want to control the person as much as possible. We understand possession as the demon sort of taking control of a person's body, really. Although we don't necessarily believe that the demon takes over the person's mind.
So the person's still in there.
The person is still in there. It's like I use the example of a house. When possession means that the house is invaded.
Okay.
And he's inside the house. And he's given the people in the house a bit of a rough time. The person who owns the house a rough time. The person may still have independence of thought and will, but it becomes increasingly difficult to exercise those faculties with the evil spirit, as it were, resident in the body of the person.
Interesting. What about hauntings?
Hauntings, that's a different matter, really, from possession. As an exorcist, I'm called an exorcist.
Yeah.
I pray that evil spirits be driven outside of a person. In other words, get them out of the house.
But you were able to also get them out of a physical house as well, not just a mental house, right?
Look, I think that would be true, although I'm often asked to go and pray in a house, and I've done it a couple of times, and I'm not sure whether nothing seemed to happen. There was no manifestation of an evil spirit presence. Like
a protective barrier on the house, just to protect the family, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, that's right. You just pray that God's Spirit, the Holy Spirit, will sort of move in and just keep evil spirits out. I pray if anything has happened in that place, who knows what's happened in the house.
Yeah.
We pray against any malign influences. That's what we do in sort of blessing or exorcising a house. I don't do it often myself because it involves travelling around.
Yeah.
And I feel like a ghostbuster then, I sort of pray for people who fear they are possessed by an evil spirit or demon.
How can you tell if they are?
Now, this is a big problem. It's not easy to tell, okay?
Yeah.
See, there are the ordinary attacks of Satan. Satan is mentioned in the Bible, and it says he goes around like a roaring lion seeking whom to devour. So, he's on that warpath. But Satan attacks people. They might call the ordinary attacks. He plays on our weaknesses, our greed, our lust, our envy, our desire for power, pride, and so on. And that's the ordinary attacks of Satan. And
but that's not a possession, though.
No. He's doing pretty well out of those, let's face it.
Yeah, I mean...
And for that...
it makes sense.
For that sort of thing, we have the ordinary prayer life of the church and of the sacraments, also the sacraments, especially the sacrament of confession. But then we believe there are other extraordinary attacks by Satan. And the worst of these is possession.
We interrupt this program to thank our members on Patreon. Your contribution helps Scarabic Enterprises as a whole. All tiers are equal in benefits and the entry is only $1 USD. We even have shadow tiers for those who do not wish to be named but want to show their support. Join now. Our Patreon link is in the description.
There could also be others, So it's called oppression.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Oppression.
Oh, yes, okay.
Not possession, oppression.
Yeah.
And also something called vexation.
Okay.
Now, what's the difference? Well, I sort of use a simple analogy that with possession, Satan has moved in to the house.
Yeah.
And he's sort of exercised control over the person dwelling there. With oppression, say he's outside the house, perhaps chucking rocks on the roof or through the window, you see.
Yeah.
It could be an extraordinary thing. Some people, they complain that they have quite a whole lot of bad things have happened to them all at once. I reckon, my bank's collapsed, car's broken down, the kids are in trouble with the law, my marriage is in trouble, and all this has all happened at once,
Yeah.
And they reckon Satan might be in that. Well, it is possible. I do pray the prayer of exorcism for people like that. The other one is vexation. Now, that's a peculiar thing.
Is that like an obsession?
Pardon?
Is that like an obsession, like stalkering sort of?
No, the obsession is another form of, but it's dealing with thoughts. I tend not to pray for that because it's too much like having obsessive thoughts, and I kind of think that should be left to psychologists.
Yeah.
There's rare circumstances when I will pray against obsession, but I think generally speaking it's a psychological problem. But vexation is a strange thing. It's people, they report so strange and almost paranormal things happening to them, mainly at night, but not necessarily so. In other words, lights coming on and off, noise, doors banging, pictures falling off the wall.
That would be the classic haunting, yeah.
Sort of a haunting type of thing.
Yeah, okay, like a poltergeist kind of.
Focused on the person. Some others in the house.
Oh, so it follows an individual.
Well, when that happens, I call it vexation, not haunting. Vexation, okay. And I sometimes do pray the prayer of the exorcism over those people. In some cases with success, in other cases with not success. Well, for example, if I always have to question a person about their mental health history, if there's any evidence of a serious mental health problem, I don't proceed with exorcism for whatever reason. Take schizophrenia, for example.
Yeah.
When they're hearing voices, they're more to schizophrenia than that, but say they're hearing voices, and they reckon these are devilish voices. But I say you get to see a psychiatrist or a doctor or something. Okay.
Well, that's actually like really relieving to hear, because in the old days, those sorts of things were considered possessions.
Absolutely,
yeah.
That's very, very true. Now that's when they were, and great harm was done, because you see what happens. I had a person recently who was obviously a mental health issue, and the problem with him, well, he had been diagnosed with some kind of schizophrenia. He'd stopped taking the medication, and a Catholic Exorcist could not go along with that, you see. So if there's any indication of a serious mental health issue, such as schizophrenia, I don't proceed with it. Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
So it's like if you had a perfectly healthy, normal, natural person who doesn't have like a brain tumor or mental health issues or anything like that, and then they start acting really weird and speaking Latin and whatever else, then I guess maybe then you might call an exorcist.
If they, what I do, some people come along and report all sorts of odd things going on. But the critical issue for me is, I said, well, yeah, it could be. What about your mental health issue? And they say, oh, no, it's not that, Father. They don't always tell you the truth, you know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that people are people, so...
That's right. So I said, well, look, we'll do an exorcism over you. I call it an exploratory exorcism. This prayer lasts from 20 minutes to half an hour, and I see what happens. If the person manifests, well, then I say to them, come back same time, same place next week. I begin the process of exorcism. The Gospels tell us that Jesus drove out evil spirits with just one word, be gone, you know. With the lesser mortals, like me, it takes a bit longer, you know.
Yeah.
But I did write a book on it. Would you like to see me book?
Yeah, sure. If you want to plug it.
Well, I don't want to plug it, but if you want to know my
well, I
approach,
can leave this part off the record if you wish.
yeah. But you see, the main work of the exorcism is if someone is possessed.
Yep.
If they do show signs of being possessed during the exploratory exorcism, then I invite them to come back and to keep coming back for as long as it takes.
Wait, inviting the person to come back, or inviting the spirit to come back?
No, the person I'm talking
I was going to say, it wouldn't make sense to invite the demons, like, come back next week, it's all good.
No, I mean, I invite the person.
Sorry, I misunderstood that. All of a sudden I was like...
and I pray over the person here. Generally speaking, it takes some weeks. Often it takes some months.
Yeah, okay.
In some cases, it's taken a couple of 2 or 3 years or more.
Did you ever get called to, like, asylums or something?
No, and I don't think I would go.
Yeah.
Because they're mental health cases.
Yes, but also, wouldn't you be able to say that the same applies in the opposite, where a person with mental health, you wouldn't exorcise because of mental health reasons, but someone exhibiting strange behaviours might be possessed and put into a mental health institution?
Look, I don't think we would do that today.
No, but could you? Do you believe that it could be confused?
I've had some clients who've come along to me and they said, the doctors, the psychiatrists say there's nothing wrong with him. This was some parents who had a teenage son who was showing abnormal signs or having abnormal turns. If these doctors said there's no indication here of schizophrenia or a serious mental health issue, well then I think it's legitimate for me to proceed with an exploratory exorcism.
Yeah.
And if the person manifests, I keep praying. See?
What does the manifestation appear to be?
It's a kind of a central question. If there's no manifestation, the person just sits there quietly all through. I say, well, listen, you're not possessed, mate. You know?
You're very patient, but not possessed.
What does... it could be shouting, yelling, screaming, shaking all over, burping, chucking up, rolling around the floor, stomping around the room. And I suppose the one that most impresses me is the look of sheer hatred in the eyes of the person. Look, they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
Some change comes over them, and you say there's something there. Now I keep praying for them, and I expect that manifestation in subsequent sessions will begin to weaken.
Yeah.
If it doesn't weaken after about 7 or 8 sessions, that's about 2 months worth, something else is going on. What could be going on? Hey, the evil spirit's too big for me, right? So too, the person is putting it on. You know, they've read the books and seen the films.
Yeah.
With experience, an exorcist can pick it up if they're faking it. Or the third thing is there may be a mental health issue there. The evil spirit is sort of hiding behind it.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I have continued to pray for some people. I didn't know she was a schizophrenic initially. I found it out eventually, but she was like this. She would manifest during the prayer. But then it was the same every time I prayed in subsequent sessions. So there was no improvement, no lessening in the intensity of the manifestation.
Okay.
You see? And so eventually I said, well, look, now she liked getting the prayer. It did give us some help, but I said, hey, listen, now you get a letter from your psychiatrist. I'm not going to continue until you do.
Yeah.
So she came back with a letter from the psychiatrist. She said, I don't mind it being prayed for. Now, of course, the psychiatrist might think, oh, it's only Hail Marys and Our Fathers, simple prayers. Did he know, or she know that it was prayers of exorcism? I don't know. But I continued to pray for that lady for quite a long time, insisting that she keep her medication.
Yeah.
Keep taking the medication. And so, when have you seen the doctor, So you see that. Now, she got some help from that, and that was pretty good. However, the problem is that I'm getting too many people coming along. So I sort of can't
It's a little bit
count.
suspicious if you've got an exorcist that's getting the phone rung off the hook.
Why is it suspicious?
Well, either word of mouth has gotten around and then you've got like a lot of business and there's a lot of fakes out there, or...
I don't charge anything. There's no money transacted.
Oh, no, I wasn't implying that. I just, because it's your profession, right?
It's part of my job as a priest.
Yeah.
So I don't charge anything. I refuse to take any money, and I try not to accept gifts of food and so on.
Yeah.
But somebody,
like the glass of water is perfectly fine.
Like oranges. So there we are. But,
yeah, oranges. They're nice.
I suppose it's getting around by word of mouth. However, there was an article in recently that it had my picture in it.
Oh, okay.
And that sort of brought quite a few more, you see.
Well, the more attention you get, and I guess there's another reason why you'd like to remain anonymous here, is because you're retired, man.
Well, that's right. I'm pretty old. I'm in my 80s. So it's a limit to the kind of work I can do.
Yeah. I do have more questions. Is there like a congregation for exorcists across like internationally?
Look, there probably are, mate. The Vatican has a school for it in Rome. I've never gone to that.
Okay.
But I've read the books by some of the leading people.
From what I've learned,
I'll send you a copy of my book. Okay?
I appreciate that. That'd be good.
And the problem is that we don't. To be a Catholic exorcist, you're supposed to be a priest appointed by the bishop. The bishop hasn't appointed anybody else. But some priests, they've been appointed and they didn't keep it going because I fear they didn't know how to do it.
Okay.
And it's a bit scary because there are kind of fears. There's an fears that this person I'm praying for is going to burst out in a crazy rage and strangle me to death, or who knows what. You see, that's there is in the Acts of the Apostles. Now that's part of the Bible, right?
Yeah.
The New Testament. There's a story there of how there was about 5 blokes, they were followers of Jesus. But anyway, they took to exorcising, praying to drive out evil spirits in the name of, I think, St. Paul and Jesus. You see? And they got bashed up. Well, the Bible says by the evil spirit acting through the person. So there is some risk in the ministry.
Yeah.
And that's why...
well, you're on the front lines in terms of
yes.
demonology
Now,
and stuff. So
I've read some of the books of exorcists in the United States and Father Armworth in Italy and so on. And
there's quite a lot of exorcisms being performed in Europe and in Spanish-speaking countries. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. But it was well, that's a very interesting question. I don't know, but an interesting question is it only what we would call ethnic people? We Anglo-Saxons call it, Aussies call ethnic people. You see, in other words, Italian background, Spanish background, Indian background, Asian background. Is it only those people?
Do you think that maybe demons or spirits target more ethnic groups? Is that what you're saying? Or?
Look, I'm not sure. It could be the case. I think hard-nosed ockers of Anglo-Saxon background. We, of course, hit the grog. That's what we do. Relief from anything. So we will have our failings. But I'm not sure of that. I have prayed over Anglo-Saxon Aussies from way back, and they've been helped. Look, what I'm going to do, mate, is I'll send you a copy of my book. And, of course, I say in modern and 20th century warfare, materialistic and so on. It's strange that it's coming back with a rush now.
Really, isn't it?
People don't believe in God. Who believe in God anymore? That's what I find. I'm speaking from my own experience. People don't seem to believe in God, but they believe in evil spirits, malign presences, and dark essences, whatever they call them.
Where I'm at the moment, where I'm trying to find the similarities between the different religions and stuff, is because I want to know if there is a spirit or a demon or something that is like an evil presence, but it is interpreted across several different religions, across several different ethnicities and regions and countries. But would that evil spirit be under one rule, or is it across the board? Is there a one true evil, or is there many different kinds of evil?
Well, most Christians would say that this is the work of the devil, or his legions, the demons, and so on, Satan and his demons. So there would be a similarity in the approach to the problem. We believe that this person is under the influence of an evil spirit, and that if that person could be freed from that person would be better.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, if there was like an apparition that was like clearly evil but needed to be gotten rid of, would you, for that specific one, would it be more appropriate for an exorcist or a witch doctor or a pagan or a, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different areas. Maybe one
that's right.
could...
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of people today, they go to, witch doctors and wizards and all that sort of stuff.
Well, anything that they have access to as well.
Christians would believe, certainly Catholics believe, that there are such things as an evil spirit, and that they do attack us, usually in the ordinary way. Some are attacked by extraordinary means, such as possession, and perhaps oppression and vexation. for which you need these special prayers. We believe that all Christians would believe that these should be expelled through prayers to Jesus and God's Holy Spirit. That to go to wizards and all that sort of stuff would be like going to demons to exorcise demons. It may help, but not completely, you know.
Okay.
This would be a common belief of Christians. But
is that your belief? Is that your...
Yeah, that's my belief.
Okay.
That's my belief, that you really do need a Christian priest appointed by the bishop. That's what we say. But I mean, it's meant to, well, there's other Christian denominations, they appoint a pastor to do it. But we do advise people, if you think you've got an evil spirit, go to a priest who has been appointed an exorcist. And this is a bit of a problem because the bishop isn't appointing many of us, you see.
Yeah.
And why there does seem to be a growing need for it.
I guess I have another question. Again, I mean this in no disrespect whatsoever, but I'd like to know...
Far away, I'm used to it, go on.
No,
Yeah.
I seriously, I mean all of this unbiased. But if for example, a witch doctor or someone that, you know, has a similar profession, right? But in their own beliefs.
Yeah.
If what they did helped exorcise a demon from a person, wouldn't that still be beneficial? Even if it's not sanctioned
We say that Satan they can use Satan to drive out Satan. That may bring some immediate benefit, but there perhaps would be some price to pay. The devil,
so you think it's an exchange?
Some price to say, but I wouldn't like to say myself personally that, you know, this person over here, he went to Fred, who is, you know, a witchcraft by person, to have it treated out well. If it helps him, okay. But I'd have my questions about the long-term efficacy of the witch doctor's prayer.
Okay. Because as you were saying, it's kind of as if it was like a, you know, the long term, as if it's a trade. Like, did you just say banishing the devil with the devil?
That's right, yeah, that's what we consider the witchcraft people would be doing. Most likely would be doing.
Is that from, like, do you know of their culture or their religion to have that?
No, I don't. I don't claim to have any knowledge of what they do.
Okay, because that's what I'm trying to do is getting all of the above.
I'm just giving you the general.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Of Christian people,
they
say if you want to get free from demons and that, you'd better go to a Christian exorcist.
Yeah.
Catholics would say you better go to an exorcist priest. It's better to go for an exorcist priest. You know?
So what is clearly the difference between that, though? Like, someone who is a sanctioned exorcist versus a priest?
Who would he be sanctioned by?
Well, you're an exorcist, no? And you
been sanctioned by the bishop.
By the bishop, correct.
Yeah, so we believe that for an exorcist to be sure about the exorcist, you know, to really sure, he should be one appointed by the bishop to the ministry of exorcism.
And could a priest do a job good enough? Like, what is it lesser?
If he wasn't appointed by the bishop. You mean?
If they're not appointed by the bishop, what would their...
Look, I'm inclined to think he could.
Yeah.
Because...
still has the power but doesn't have the training, maybe, or...
I'm not quite sure why the bishop restricts it to priests, to special priests whom he is appointed. It may be to prevent abuses. You know, you've got to be pretty sure that the guy you're appointing is a man of integrity.
Yeah, okay.
And follows the rules.
There's a level of trust in there that you go, okay, this person is in it for literally the souls.
How you go about it too, for example, I never touch the persons I'm praying for.
Okay.
I might lay hands on the head or the shoulder in a gesture of imparting the spirit, but you don't touch them otherwise.
Okay, cool.
I don't tie people up. They must be free at all times to go if they want to.
So you're at risk more so if the person becomes violent.
You could say that. You could say that, yes.
But then if you tie them down, that'll make them even more restless, just as people are.
Actually, that's what I believe.
Yeah. So it makes them more aggressive. They're more likely to hurt themselves on the restraints.
Well, that's right, yes. I had a young lass once, he was brought in by two birdie blokes, her dad and an uncle. Held her down. She turned on her feet. And I said, look, just leave her, let her go. And she quietened down, So that's possibly very true. But also in Australia, I think we'd be liable to be charged with the imprisonment of a person.
Yeah, okay.
So I say to the priest, no, don't tie them up. But just, you pray for them and you stand near them but keep a respectful distance,
Yeah.
The door there we can duck out if need be. But I've never sort of been attacked. So a couple of people have taken a swipe in my general direction. And one person kicked me in the shins on one occasion. But by and large, the manifestations have been relatively mild. Now, some of the exorcist priests from overseas would say, oh, you haven't seen anything. You haven't seen the worst. Okay, that may be true. I don't say I've seen the worst cases. But anyway,
that's probably preferable anyway, because going through that would be not pleasant.
It can be frightening at times. I've had some pretty tough sessions in which the person, kind of stomped around the room and looked as if he was going to bash me up.